What if I told you that one of the world's most iconic billion-dollar empires didn't start in a boardroom with Ivy League degrees or a mountain of investor money, but with a baker covered in flour? You won't believe this. The shocking truth is that the story of Oreo isn't really about cookies. It's about how a man with nothing but stubborn grit and a dream built an empire that still dominates shelves today. Most people think success comes from big ideas, deep pockets, or the perfect timing, but the truth revealed is uncomfortable. What really happened with Oreo exposes the hidden lesson that corporations don't want you to know, because this wasn't just about baking. This was about breaking rules, reinventing an industry, and turning simplicity into billions. And here's the kicker, it almost didn't work. At least twice, Nabisco came close to collapsing before it even had the chance to rise. No one saw it coming, but those failures became the blueprint for one of the most powerful brands on earth. So ask yourself, if a humble baker could take a cracker and transform it into a global empire, what's stopping you from building something extraordinary with what you have right now? The answer is in this story. And once you hear it, it might just change the way you think about business forever. The humble beginnings. Adolphus Green wasn't born into wealth, privilege, or power. He was the son of a modest family, growing up in a world where luxury was a foreign word and every penny mattered. His early days were marked not by abundance, but by survival. You won't believe this, the man who would later command a billion-dollar empire once stood in line just to afford basic bread. No one saw it coming. That his future wouldn't be shaped by circumstance, but by vision. And yet, inside this ordinary boy lived a dream that seemed impossible. In the late 1800s, America was changing fast. Factories roared, railroads stretched endlessly, and fortunes were being made. But Green, he didn't have investors lining up, nor an inheritance to lean on. What he had was grit, stubbornness, and the audacity to believe a cracker, yes, a simple cracker, could be more than just food. The truth revealed is almost absurd. While others dreamed of steel or oil, he dreamed of flour, water, and ovens. This changed everything, though almost no one believed in it at the time. Picture this, a tiny bakery, smoke-filled rooms, men covered in flour, working from dawn until their bodies ached. That was the world where Green found himself. He wasn't surrounded by businessmen in fine suits, but by bakers sweating over hot stoves. And yet, he saw something they didn't. He saw that a cracker wasn't just a snack. It was a story, a product that could travel, last, and feed millions. It almost didn't work, but in his heart, he knew there was more here than met the eye. He faced whispers, laughter, and doubt. Who's going to care about your little biscuit? Critics mocked, competitors dismissed him as a dreamer, someone wasting time. But no one tells you that most great revolutions start exactly like this: dismissed, ignored, ridiculed. Green didn't just want to bake, he wanted to build. A bakery might have seemed small, but what really happened behind those brick walls was the foundation of something unstoppable. And the world wasn't ready for it. The early bakery wasn't glamorous. Flour dust clung to his hair, ovens burned through the night, and profits barely covered the cost of coal. Still, Green pressed forward. He knew that survival depended on more than taste. It depended on trust. He started obsessing over consistency, making sure every cracker looked and tasted the same. Think about it, at a time when bread spoiled in days, he imagined crackers that could last weeks. That wasn't just baking, that was innovation hiding in plain sight. No one saw it coming, but from that tiny room filled with flour and fire, a seed was planted. A seed that would one day feed not just towns, but entire nations. From poverty to possibility, from ridicule to revolution, the journey was only beginning. But here's the shocking story. Even with the dream alive, the empire almost collapsed before it even started. The first struggles road from flour-covered dreams to a thriving empire wasn't paved with gold. It was littered with rejection, doubt, and closed doors. Investors scoffed at Green's vision, treating crackers as a poor man's food, unworthy of serious money. You won't believe this. Some bankers laughed him out of their offices, telling him no one would ever build a fortune selling snacks. No one saw it coming, but the very thing they dismissed would become the foundation of a billion-dollar empire. Still, in those days, the odds were stacked against him. Resources were painfully scarce. Machinery was outdated, distribution was limited, and profits trickled slower than molasses. Competitors, already well established, controlled the shelves and owned the markets. The truth revealed is harsh. Green wasn't fighting for growth. He was fighting just to survive another week. Every delivery was a gamble, every batch baked was a risk, and with rivals circling like vultures, it almost didn't work. This was the moment his empire could have ended here. Before it even began, imagine pouring everything you have into ovens, only to watch your crackers go stale before they reach customers. That was his reality. Shelf life was short and buyers weren't loyal. If a competitor undercut the price by a penny, customers shifted instantly. Green realized he needed more than a recipe, he needed reinvention. What no one tells you is that survival in business isn't about having the best product. It's about staying alive long enough to matter. And that meant change. So he turned to creativity. He experimented with packaging, tested new wrapping methods, and obsessed over freshness. At a time when most bakeries sold loose crackers in barrels that collected dust, Green dared to innovate. He began sealing crackers, protecting them from air and moisture. It was costly, it was risky, and it seemed unnecessary to many. But hidden behind this experiment was the spark of something revolutionary. The shocking story: competitors thought he was wasting money. They were wrong. Struggles weren't just financial, they were psychological. Imagine failing over and over while hearing voices telling you to quit, yet Green refused to bend. He learned from every mistake, treating each failure as a lesson in disguise. And here's the part that will shock you: some of the strategies he created under pressure are still used by billion-dollar food companies today. Learn from this mistake. Success isn't about avoiding failure. It's about embracing it until you find the crack of light. And just when it seemed his bakery couldn't take another hit, something shifted. A small breakthrough, born from desperation, began to change everything. But what really happened next wasn't just survival, it was the moment that transformed a struggling baker into a pioneer. What no one saw coming was that this crazy idea about packaging would soon redefine the entire industry. The big breakthrough: desperation fuels genius. Green's bakery was teetering on collapse when he stumbled upon an idea that would flip the entire industry on its head. You won't believe this. It wasn't a new flavor or even a new recipe, it was packaging. He developed what would later be called the fresh pack, a sealed package that locked in taste and extended shelf life. No one saw it coming. But this simple shift would become the weapon that saved his empire. The fresh pack was revolutionary. Before this, crackers were dumped into barrels, scooped out by hand, and sold in bulk. Stale, dirty, and inconsistent. Green dared to change that. He put his product into clean, sealed cartons, ensuring freshness and hygiene. The truth revealed: people didn't just buy food, they bought trust. Customers suddenly felt safe, and safe meant loyal. This changed everything, placing Green's bakery a step ahead of everyone else. But survival wasn't guaranteed just yet. The effect was immediate. Housewives praised the cleanliness, grocers admired the longer shelf life, and competitors, they panicked. Green's crackers began standing out on shelves, their bright packages shouting louder than dusty barrels. Think about it: would you rather scoop from a dirty barrel or grab a fresh, sealed box? The hidden lesson is clear: innovation isn't always about invention, but presentation. And Green mastered it before anyone else could catch up. But here's the shocking story: while the fresh pack looked like the big win, it came with backlash. Rivals mocked the idea, newspapers questioned the higher cost, and some distributors refused to carry the new packages. It almost didn't work. What really happened was a brutal fight for adoption, convincing people to pay more for something they didn't yet understand. The risk of failure was hanging over Green's head. like a storm cloud ready to burst. Still, branding turned out to be his secret weapon. He started printing the company name boldly on every box, making sure people didn't just eat crackers, they remembered who made them. That's the move billion-dollar companies still use today. It wasn't just a cracker anymore, it was Nabisco. And yet, what no one tells you is that this breakthrough wasn't enough to secure the throne. Because just when he thought the storm had passed, a war was about to begin. Yes, a war. Not with weapons, but with cookies, marketing, and fierce competition. Green had pulled his bakery back from the edge, but in doing so, he awakened giants. The fresh pack gave him momentum, but it also drew attention, and the shocking truth? The real battle for dominance in America's kitchens hadn't even started yet. The cookie war breakthrough with the fresh pack gave Green an edge, but it also painted a target on his back. Competitors weren't going to watch quietly while Nabisco carved a bigger slice of the market. You won't believe this. What started as friendly rivalry turned into an all-out war. Sunshine Biscuits, Loose Wiles, and other rising bakeries sharpened their knives. No one saw it coming, but America's kitchens were about to become the battlefield for the most intense snack rivalry in history. The strategies grew ruthless. Competitors slashed prices, flooded markets with copycat products, and even tried to smear Nabisco's reputation. The truth revealed is that this wasn't just about crackers anymore, it was about survival of the boldest. Green knew he couldn't outspend everyone, but he could outthink them. He leaned into marketing, creating campaigns that whispered into households, "Trust us, we'll feed your family right," and trust, once gained, became his most valuable weapon. But here's where the shocking story takes a twist. The battlefield shifted. Crackers were no longer enough to win. Competitors were diversifying, experimenting with sweeter, more indulgent products. What really happened is that consumer tastes were changing, and if Green didn't adapt, Nabisco risked being left behind. That's when the idea that would rewrite dessert history was born. The Oreo, it almost didn't work, but it would turn out to be one of the greatest comebacks in business storytelling. At first glance, Oreo looked like just another cookie. To chocolate wafers, a cream center, nothing earth-shattering. But what no one tells you is that Nabisco didn't just launch a cookie, they launched a brand identity. They crafted it to feel premium, indulgent, and trustworthy, directly aimed at knocking Sunshine's Hydrox cookie off its pedestal. And slowly, bite after bite, Oreo began stealing hearts and shelf space. A silent empire was rising. One dunk at a time, marketing became a weapon of mass persuasion. Nabisco pushed jingles on the radio, colorful ads in newspapers, and slogans that kids couldn't forget. Picture a family around a table, twisting Oreos, licking the cream, dunking it in milk. It wasn't just about eating, it was about ritual. The hidden lesson: products win when they create habits, not just satisfaction. And Oreo was quietly becoming more than a snack. It was embedding itself into American culture. Still, the war wasn't over. Rivals fought back with aggressive counter campaigns, lawsuits, and endless knockoffs. But here's the part that will shock you. While others saw Oreo as just a cookie, Green saw it as a future cultural icon. What seemed small was actually colossal, and soon, the numbers would prove it because Oreo wasn't stopping at America's borders. The next stage would push it beyond rivalry, straight into worldwide domination. From cookie to cultural icon, Oreo wasn't just another snack on the shelf, it became a symbol. You won't believe this. Within just a few years, families across America weren't simply eating Oreos. They were creating traditions around them. Kids twisted them apart, argued over the right way to dunk them, and even invented games. With them, no one saw it coming, but a simple cookie was transforming into a cultural ritual, one that passed from generation to generation. Marketing fueled the fire. Nabisco rolled out jingles that kids sang on playgrounds, ads that painted Oreos as the ultimate treat, and slogans that stuck like glue. The truth revealed is that they weren't just selling cookies, they were selling moments, emotions, and identity that changed everything. Suddenly, Oreo wasn't fighting competitors on price anymore. It was fighting for memory, nostalgia, and joy. And those are battles money alone can't buy. Think about it. How many Oreos have you eaten? In your life? Hundreds? Thousands? The shocking story is that collectively, humanity has consumed trillions. What really happened is that Oreo tapped into something deeper than hunger. It became part of birthdays, family gatherings, school lunches, and even late-night snacks when no one was watching. Learn from this mistake that most entrepreneurs make. They build products, but forget to build experiences. And just when Oreo seemed like it had conquered America, it leapt across oceans. Europe, Asia, South America, soon more than 100 countries were dunking, twisting, and biting into Oreos. The hidden lesson: culture travels faster than language. People may speak different tongues, but everyone understands the comfort of a sweet treat. It almost didn't work, though. In some countries, Oreos had to reinvent themselves with new flavors just to survive. But reinvention was in Nabisco's DNA. Here's the shocking part. Oreo wasn't just food anymore. It started appearing in ice cream flavors, cakes, milkshakes, and even luxury desserts at five-star restaurants. What no one tells you is that once a brand becomes a cultural symbol, it no longer plays by the rules of its category. Oreo wasn't competing with cookies. It was competing with happiness itself. And happiness, it turns out, scales globally. But beneath all this sweet success, a bigger transformation was brewing. Oreo had become a cultural phenomenon, yes, but Nabisco wasn't done. Behind the scenes, deals were being struck, towers were being built, and mergers were changing the face of the company forever, and the truth revealed. The cookie that won America's heart was about to anchor a billion-dollar empire. The billion-dollar empire be the mid-20th century. Oreo wasn't just a cookie, it was the crown jewel of a growing powerhouse. Nabisco, once a small bakery fighting for survival, now stood tall as a corporate giant. You won't believe this. The same man who once begged for investors now watched his company's products fill supermarkets from New York to Los Angeles. No one saw it coming, but his little bakery had transformed into an empire worth billions. The empire wasn't built on Oreos alone. Nabisco mastered the art of diversification, filling shelves with brands that became household staples: Ritz crackers, Chips Ahoy, Wheat Thins. The list grew longer, the influence grew wider. The truth revealed is that Nabisco didn't just make snacks, they made culture. Each product carved its own loyal following, but Oreo remained the global ambassador. The cookie that whispered, "We own this market." And quietly, it did. Their dominance was symbolized by the construction of the Nabisco Tower in Chicago, a skyscraper that screamed success. Imagine the audacity. A company that once fought for shelf space now built a monument to its empire. It almost didn't work, though. Building big meant attracting bigger predators. And soon, corporate giants began circling. The shocking story? Nabisco, the hunter, was about to become the hunted. Entercraft in 2000, after decades of expansion. Nabisco was acquired in a deal worth nearly $19 billion. What really happened was more than a sale. It was a transfer of power. Kraft didn't just buy products. They bought legacy, history, and a cultural symbol that spanned over 100 countries. And the move solidified Oreo as the most valuable cookie brand in the world. Learn from this mistake. Never think your empire is too big to be swallowed whole. Today, Oreo generates billions in revenue annually, selling more than 40 billion cookies each year. Think about that number for a moment. That's over 1 billion cookies every single month. The hidden lesson? Scale isn't just about profit, it's about permanence. Oreo has embedded itself into everyday life so deeply that people don't even call it a cookie anymore. They just call it an Oreo. That's when you know you've won. But here's the twist. Hidden behind this sweet success lies a lesson most entrepreneurs overlook. Oreo's story isn't about luck, timing, or even flavor. It's about reinvention, branding, and audacity. And the truth revealed? If Green had quit when the bakery was crumbling, none of this would exist. Which raises the ultimate question: what can you learn from history to build your own empire? because buried inside this cookie tale is the hidden lesson every dreamer needs. The hidden lesson story of Oreo and Nabisco looks sweet on the surface, but the truth revealed is far deeper. This empire wasn't built by accident or by luck. It was built on daring choices, relentless reinvention, and branding so strong it outlived generations. You won't believe this. The same cracker that once struggled to find a beer became the foundation for a cultural icon worth billions. No one saw it coming, but that's exactly the point. Most people underestimate simple ideas. Here's the shocking story. What really happened with Nabisco wasn't about flour, sugar, or cream. It was about imagination. Green didn't just bake. He redefined the way people thought about food. He didn't just sell snacks. He sold identity. Learn from this mistake. Too many entrepreneurs chase complexity, when often the billion-dollar idea hides in simplicity. It could have ended here, with failure in a dusty bakery, but vision turned crumbs into an empire. And the hidden lesson? Consistency. Green obsessed over packaging, branding, and trust. He knew one stale cracker could destroy loyalty. That's a principle still true today. Whether you're selling cookies, services, or content online, consistency is your fresh pack. Think about Amazon's next-day delivery or Apple's sleek design. The same strategy Nabisco used, modernized. What no one tells you is that billion-dollar empires aren't born. They're built, brick by brick, habit by habit. The bigger secret behind it all is reinvention. Oreo didn't stay stuck in one flavor or one country. It adapted, experimented, and expanded. From birthday cake Oreos to green tea Oreos in Asia, the lesson is clear: growth demands change. And yet, most people fear change. Green embraced it. That's why Oreo survived while countless snack brands disappeared into history. The hidden truth? Reinvention keeps empires alive, but here's the part that connects directly to you. If Green could turn a struggling bakery into a global icon, what's stopping you from building your own version of Oreo? The answer isn't money or degrees, it's mindset. It's about daring to see opportunity where others see just a cracker. And if you want to learn how to think like Green, I created something for you, a guide with 10 lessons from billion-dollar empires. The link is in the comments. Don't miss it, because at the end of the day, the shocking truth is this: success doesn't care where you start, only how far you're willing to go. Green started with flour dust in his hair and doubt at his back, yet he built a name that lives forever. What really happened with Oreo isn't just history, it's a blueprint. And the question left hanging is simple: what will you build? With the crumbs in your hands, so now you've seen the truth revealed. A baker with nothing turned flour, the doubt, into one of the most powerful brands on the planet. But here's the real question: what will you do with this hidden lesson? Will you let your ideas collect dust like crackers in an old barrel? Or will you package them, reinvent them, and turn them into something the world can't ignore? Think about it. Oreo didn't start as a billion-dollar empire. It started as crumbs, mistakes, and risks that almost didn't work. And yet, what no one tells you is that your small idea might be the very thing that changes everything. The shocking story of Nabisco proves that greatness often hides where no one saw it coming. So let me ask you, what's stopping you from creating your own empire? Fear, doubt, waiting for the perfect timing? Learn from this mistake. There is no perfect timing. There is only now. And the truth revealed is simple: if Green could do it, so can you. If this story inspired you, take it as a sign, apply it, build something. And if you're serious about learning the strategies behind billion-dollar empires, don't forget, I left a guide with 10 powerful lessons in the comments. That's knowledge you can use today. And before you go, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because every week, we uncover the hidden stories behind the world's greatest business empires. Stories that will not just inspire you, but show you the blueprint to build your own. The only question now is, will you just listen, or will you start building?